Hi everybody, Alice here again with another video looking at the third of the 4 detachments from the Imperial Knights Codex. So let's get into going over the Questoris Companions detachment. So we'll start as always with the detachment rule, Heroes of Legend. At the start of your turn, if your current oath is fulfilled, determine an additional oath as described on page 74 of the Codex, with the exception that you cannot select the deed or quality you have already selected. If you are randomly selecting the deed and or quality and roll any result that you've already selected, select the deed or quality you have not already selected instead. If you cannot determine an additional oath because you have already selected each deed and each quality, do not determine an additional oath. The qualities from oaths you have fulfilled continue to apply to all models in your army with the code chivalric ability. When the deed for an additional oath is completed, you instead gain 1 command point regardless of how you selected the deed or quality. So, wait, there's more, I apologise. Valor's Reward. This concerns the enhancements, which will be coming to in a moment. The enhancements shown can be expended. You cannot use such enhancements while they are expended. Each time you fulfill your oath, each expended enhancement is no longer expended. So basically, this detachment wants you to burn through completing the oaths and deeds, which we've got covered in the army rule video that I've already done, and will link in the description of this video. Now, about this reward is interesting. About expended an enhancement. So this is a party piece that's never really been done before. But speaking of enhancements, let's get into them. First up is the Herald of Triumph, Imperial Knights model only. When the bearer enters charge mode, it can use this enhancement. If it does, the enhancement is expended. Then each enemy unit within engagement range of the bearer must take a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from the result. It's situational, shall we say. Against some things in some armies, it'll work. Against others, they'll just laugh in your face at having to take a battle shock result, even with a -1. But let's see what we have further in. Next up is the Wormslayer Divination. Imperial Knights model only. In your shooting phase, when the bearer is selected to shoot, it can use this enhancement. If it does, this enhancement is expended. Spotting the theme here. Then until the end of the phase, each time it makes an attack against the target's unit can fly, you can re-roll the hit roll. Again, kind of situational. Right, re-rolls are nice, but only against things that can fly. Again, just like the Herald of Triumph, it's, in my opinion, just a smidgen too niche. Next up, we have the Pendant of Silvered Fury. Imperial Knights model only. When the bearer is selected to fight, it can use this enhancement. If it does, this enhancement is expended. Then until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by the bearer have the sustained hits 2 ability. This one's better. This is definitely better. Now, there's some knights that will definitely benefit from this more than others, because there's some you want closer to the fray than others. But a chance to get more sustained hits too on the melee weapons, especially the Reaper chainswords. Will not complain at that so far. That's the best enhancement of this detachment, which hasn't been, in my opinion at least, a very low bar to clear. And finally, we've got the Crushing Condemnation. Imperial Knights model only. When the bearer is selected to fight, after resolving its attacks, if one or more enemy units were destroyed by those attacks, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, this enhancement is expended. Then select one enemy unit that is not within engagement range of any units from your army and is within 12 inches and visible to the bearer. Roll 6d6 for each 4 plus that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. If you can get it to work, could potentially be quite destructive. But again, it's a bit sort of niche. And we haven't gone into the stratagems yet, but that sort of feels like the story of this detachment to me. It's a bit niche. If you can get everything to work, it could be very, very good. But it takes a lot to get everything to work. I think so far, I mean, there's still the stratagems to cover, but for me, this is the weakest detachment, at least in my opinion, within the Codex. But let's get into the stratagems. Now, as per usual, when I do these, unless I mention it, the stratagems cost 1 command point. So let's get started. So we have Courageous Stand. Use it in your opponent's shouting phase or the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. On an Imperial Knight Titanic unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit attacks. Until the end of the phase, models in your unit get the 6+ feel no pain. So you can give a Titanic Knight unit an extra layer of tankiness, albeit at 6+. Okay, it's reasonable. We can work with that. Certainly not as niche as a lot of the stuff we've covered so far with this detachment. We can work with that one. Next stratagem is Titanic Duel. Use it in your shooting phase or the fight phase on an Imperial Knights Titanic model from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time your model makes an attack that targets a monster, Titanic or Walker unit, add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. Now, there's some nice utility there because it covers a relatively broad church of units with the monster keyword being added to it. Getting away rerolls are always, well, not rerolls, sorry, adding to your rolls is always nice. Yeah, that's a solid stratagem as well. We like it. We like that one as well. Moment of Glory is up next. Use it in the fight phase just before an Imperial Knights Titanic unit from your army consolidates, and you use it on said Imperial Knight Titanic unit. The effect is, until the end of the phase, each time your unit consolidates, models in it can move an additional 3 inches, provided your unit can end that move within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Okay. It's not bad. I think the other two are a bit better, but you can still work with it. Hero's Tread is next up. Use it at the end of your command phase on an Imperial Knights Titanic unit from your army that is within range of an objective marker you control. Your level of control over that objective marker is 5, unless it was otherwise be higher when until your opponent's level of control over that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of the phase. So, yeah, you can use it to pretty much lock a set number on an objective marker unless the knight you're planning to use it on has a higher OC stat. It's not bad. A little bit of utility there. Unstoppable Warrior is the next one. This is a 2 command point stratagem. Use it in your movement phase just after an Imperial Knight's Titanic unit from your army falls back, and use it on said knight. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in the unit it fell back. So, we like this one a lot. You can say if it's a combat that isn't advantageous to it, you can fall back from it, land a few shots to hopefully thin the herd out, or put a few wounds on what you want in the fight, to get ready to move back in and finish it off. Yeah, we like that one. So far the stratagems are kind of better than the rest of the detachment put together, if I'm being honest. And finally we have Driven by the Past. Use it in your charge phase on an Imperial Knight's Titanic unit from your army. Until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to declare a charge in the unit in which in advance. Ideal for your more close range knights or your double choppy knight, to get them into the fight and do what they do best even quicker. Yep, another perfectly solid stratagem. And that comes to the end of our Questoris companions, which for me is a detachment of 2 halves. The detachment rule I think is a bit so-so. The enhancements are largely forgettable, but the stratagems are pretty solid overall. I'd still call this, in my opinion at least, the weakest of the detachments we've seen so far within the Imperial Knights Codex. And to clarify, in the previous video when I mentioned it was only the Castellan and the Dominus that had the Titanic keyword, that's my bad. It's the Questoris Knights as well. They have Titanic. So that is a bad on my part. I had a complete brain fart on the keywords and I apologise for that. But that brings us to the end of looking over the Questoris Companions detachment. What do you guys think of it? As always, let me know in the comments, and I shall catch you guys in the next video. Bye.